I guess you can't best us. Rest of the fantasy community, go ahead and book the L when they lose to me. It's nothing new to me, I'm just the dude you see. Biggest difference is I listen regularly. Yeah, I will not lose 14 my dudes.
We are back. Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy 40 podcast. It is finally upon us. Week 1 of the NFL is a few days away, and we are off and running. We're going to kind of skip over Thursday in case we don't get this out in time. The information for Thursday's game will be at the end, so we'll just get into the Sunday games to start. Walk, how you doing, and are you excited for some football?
Dude, we're big excited. The word excited is a just unbelievable understatement. All I could think of is how so many on fantasy Twitter were so confident this was never happening. And all along, I'm just like, 100% happening. Nothing's going to stop the money train. Roger Goodell is going to plow through and make this happen, regardless of how ugly it's probably going to be early on. This no preseason games, limited camp, all this. It's going to be ugly for a couple of weeks. I mean, it's just not good. We're going to watch preseason in the regular season. It's going to be just like missed assignments, random injuries, shit like that, pulled hamstrings from guys having not really gone at it in the preseason. So I'm excited for football, but it's not going to be the football that I think everyone wants it to be out of the gate.
So you mentioned something about, missed assignments and defensive guys shit in the bed. A lot of stuff I read in the offseason was the offensive lines are having a real hard time. And my thought going into it was take the under on every single game for like 4 weeks while the offenses kind of sync up, because defense is reactionary anyway. So do you agree with that, or are you more on the side that defenses are going to be sloppy and there's going to open up the opportunity for big plays for offenses? Because I'm thinking it's going to be very defensive early while teams figure it out on offense.
Yeah, I mean, I get where you're going with that. I just think the NFL has placed a premium on the fact that scoring sells. So that fact that you can't defend people anymore in the NFL will level that playing field early enough. So it's going to be line dependent. I think if anything's screaming high, then maybe you go down on it. But that Thursday night game that we'll talk about later has a rather healthy total right out of the gate. So interested to see where you go with that. But in theory, it makes sense. I thought you were going to go with the stick with your veterans early on. The guys that know what they're doing are going to be on the field.
Wow.
I thought you were going with your anti-rookie spin early on.
For fantasy, yes.
Yeah, you were talking real football. Yeah, that's fair enough. Let's talk about fantasy football. So we're going to rip through these games, not going like super deep. We're not looking for the deepest sleeper in every game here, but just like a couple tidbits of information.
Not in week 1.
No,
no off season.
Things that are relevant.
Could
you're right. I mean, who is the
chalkiest week in history?
Yeah. I mean, it could be. So, get your DFS lineups in order. Don't go too deep trying to uncover that gem. But right out of the gate, we're going to start with my Philadelphia Eagles at the Washington football team. And that 1:00 game is just screaming running backs to me. How do you feel about that?
I don't disagree, but who's the running back in Washington? That's the
I
mean, I know who I want it to be.
It's the guy that we've been fucking screaming about since pre-draft on these airwaves.
I don't know that it is.
Incessantly.
Yeah, Philly's a 6-point road favorite, 6.5 in some spots. Philly should beat the hell out of Washington, so that's where I would go with that. I think, the guys are who you're going to play here. Wentz. What's going on at wide receiver for them? Who's their starting 2 wide receivers?
2 wide sets is going to be D. Jackson, probably J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, unfortunately. And then when they go 3 wide, Greg Ward is going to come in. So Ward held his water. The weak link is obviously J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. So he's not going to do anything.
It's going to be a lot of Miles Sanders.
Tons of Miles Sanders. Listen, our Washington Redskins were the second worst defense as far as rushing yards allowed last year. I don't know that they got markedly better. They have quality names on that defensive line, but their linebacker core is so hard. And I just saw Reuben Foster got IR'd again, even though he came off of some designation list after his his knee injury, but he's back out. They're just not scary in stopping the run, and I think Miles Sanders is going to get all he can handle. It would not surprise me if he is the RB1 in week 1.
There's definitely a path to it, and there's nobody on Washington I'm interested in. Haskins is a question mark. I do like McLaurin, of course, but the rest is receiver core. Shrug your shoulders. Running back, I do like our guy out of Memphis there, but oof, do I trust him with no offseason? Week 1, what kind of work is he going to get in the game? They're probably going to be trailing early, even though he is a pass catcher. So, no thank you.
Yeah, see, Eagles were the 3rd best at defending the run as far as rushing yards allowed last year, and I don't think anything has changed. They actually got Malik Jackson back, and they have Javon Hargraves. Their run defense is going to be even better than it was. So that means that Peyton Barber is going to do less than he did during his time in Tampa when he was just running in a pile all day. This could be a sneaky, big coming-out party for Antonio Gibson because, to your point, who else are they going to throw to? Terry McLaurin, a little bit of Logan Thomas, who should have a little shine here, maybe some Steven Sims, and that's it. You told me, what are you starting, Dontrell Inman? Dontrell Inman's their other wide receiver. Antonio Gibson could easily catch 6 to 8 balls week 1, and all he needs is one play. I wouldn't be that stretched to put him in the flex position right now. It depends on how deep your league is, but I'm not running away from that. They're going to be chasing points, and he's going to be catching balls all afternoon. So I'm going to start your running backs in this game, guy. Miles Sanders and Antonio Gibson are the names to have.
All right. What game is next, sir?
Our next game will be your Seattle Seahawks at the Atlanta Falcons. Thoughts?
The total here is 49.5, and this could go over. I know I just talked about taking the under in a ton of these games, but these are 2 teams with very little changes in the offseason, so they should be pretty back to where they were towards the end of last year. No changes at quarterback, nothing different at wide receiver. Offensive coordinators, head coaches are all the same. So if there is the over possibility, this is probably it in a dome game to start the year. So I like all the offensive pieces that you know of. Seattle, obviously, you're going to play Wilson, Atlanta, Ryan, and Julio and the old man Ridley, and you got DK Metcalf and Lockett and the running backs. I do like Gurley. I'm curious to see how they use him. I know they said he was a little limping around, but I think they're going to use him heavily. So this is one I like everybody for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. I mean, the Seattle secondary should be much improved with Jamal Adams being there and what's his name, Dunbar, who I think all systems go.
If he's not in jail?
Yeah, all systems go for him from what I hear. I mean, Baker, totally different story, but Dunbar seems like he's in the clear. Seattle sneakily was the 7th worst as far as passing yards allowed last year. I would not have put them that bad. Like I said, I think they've shored up that secondary, but they can still be run on. They gave up 22 rushing touchdowns last year, which was 3rd worst in the entire NFL. So to your point, I think Gurley's going to get any and all goal line work. He should catch a couple passes out of the backfield. Just definitely fire up Gurley. Atlanta's defense shouldn't be scaring anyone. So yeah, it's fire up every one time in this offense. I don't think there's a shy away in here. If you have to, I mean, I think obviously Hurst and Olsen are both viable low-end tight end 1 options. Yeah. I'm with you. This could easily go over in the dome right out of the gate. Yep.
Every fire up everybody in this game. What do you have next?
Next is the Cleveland Browns at the Lamar Jackson Baltimore Ravens.
So, Baltimore is -8. The total is 48. So they're predicting 28-20. And I'll be honest, I don't see how the Browns get to 20. I think Baltimore beats the shit out of them. I like every Baltimore player in this game. Cleveland, I'd be shying away from across the board. And this is I think this is going to be ugly. I like Baltimore. But similar, you said, with the running game in Philly and Washington, I think Baltimore gets an early lead and it goes run after that. So I like the running backs. Give me all of them. Ingram, I think Dobbins will get some work. Even our man Gus, if you're super desperate. But Cleveland, I'm pretty scared of everybody unless they are trailing quite a bit, and then maybe Hunt's a sneaky play catching some balls out of the backfield. So I don't like anyone on Cleveland, and I really do like Baltimore here.
Yeah, I mean, in a PPR, you got to think Jarvis Landry's catching 10 passes, and let's see what Austin Hooper does right out of the gate, because I agree with you. I don't see how Cleveland gets to 20 in this game. And who would have thought that, a team that just let Earl Thomas go, just released him, got better. And supposedly he's just had lost a step, missing assignments, wasn't the Earl Thomas of old. And then couple that with everything they brought in this offseason defensively, another year of Marquise Hollywood Brown, Mark Andrews in that offense. Maybe you get something out of a secondary receiver. Maybe one of our young guys, Duvernay or Prochet, steps up. But I think all this needs to be in week one is a run fest. And I think I called it, whether it was a week or 2 weeks ago, that J.K. Dobbins, straight out of the gate, is going to take an Ohio team to the woodshed. And it's going to be the Cleveland Browns in a home game where Baltimore is going to control and be able to do what they want early and often, that J.K. Dobbins can easily see 10 to 12 or more carries in this game. And if he gets it, he's going to be an RB2 week one. Right out of the gate. They're still going to give Ingram his obligatory start and his touches. He'll get the goal line carries. Still an Ingram week, but I can see Dobbins making hay right out of the gate. He might be the top rookie scorer in week one.
Ooh, bold.
I said Mike.
What do you got next?
Next is an absolute barn burner, John. This is the New York Fighting Jets heading up to Buffalo to lose to the Buffalo Bills in week one.
Look, a lot of people have the Bills winning that AFC East now that the Patriots are a huge question mark. They're somewhere between 5.5, 6.5 point home favorite. Look.
Tell me about that total.
Listen, 39. 39.5, 40 in some places. We'll see.
Go chasing waterfalls, John.
There's just, I'm saying nothing. There's nothing I can tell you about the Jets that's positive. They're awful offense, awful coach. I'm no Jets, thank you, especially going against one of the better defenses in the league also. And Buffalo is, Allen's going to get some points with his legs. I just traded for him in the league. I'm super happy to get him with the Jets in week one. I think he'll put up some points. At wide receiver, I'm not quite sure where the ball's going to go here, but they're going to run quite a bit with Moss and Singletary. And I don't love Diggs. I like Smoke, but I don't like him in this matchup. I'm curious to see what the offense does. So I'm staying away except for Allen and the running backs, but it's going to be good to see kind of where the distribution is now that Diggs is there, who's getting the targets.
Yeah, it should be interesting, but low total, ugly stay away game. I'm with you. I mean, Buffalo Bills defense might be defense one this week, not going to be digging deep to find any of these guys. You laid it out pretty perfectly. I think Zach Moss outscores Devin Singletary right out of the gate. I've been saying it for weeks. He is going to be the running back you want in Buffalo, and you're still going to end up starting Le'Veon Bell. He's going to give you an RB2 or a flex week right out of the gate because they're going to be dumping balls off to him. He might even be playing wide receiver, I read, and he should because he's probably their second best wide receiver right now. So he could catch 6 or 8 balls easy in his games. And the Jets suck.
Sorry to our friend Andy Singleton, who for some reason is a Jets fan.
Facts are facts. No, you can't give up on a team, but when a team gives up on you, then you can do what you want.
Got it. I could do this for an hour. Let's just trash the Jets.
It's been the platform of our podcast for the better part of 3 years now. So they don't change. So why should we? Until they fire Adam Gates, we will not say much good about them.
Who's next to beat up?
Moving on, and this is a game I'm actually interested in. It's the Las Vegas Raiders heading east to face the Carolina Panthers. Just a lot of new going on for both of these teams. A lot of young offensive new going on as well. So where are you at?
The game opened as a pick and now has moved to the Raiders -3 on the road. Total of 48. So they're anticipating some scoring. I mean, really nothing is new except at the wide receiver part for the Raiders. So, odds are we're going to see a lot of Edwards. We're going to see some splashes from Ruggs. I'm playing Edwards in a league where I'm a little thin at wide receiver. It's a little scary, of course, but I like the Raiders, like we've mentioned already, this weird offseason here with no continuity in Carolina. New quarterback, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new receivers. There's just a lot of moving parts for a team that hasn't got to practice at game speed. So I think the Raiders actually win this, as much as I hate the West Coast teams going east. Carolina, the upside is there, but until I see it happen, I'm too chicken shit to roll any of these guys out besides McCaffrey, of course. But I'm going to stay away from Carolina until I see what they're actually putting on the field.
Oh, you get DJ Moore in that lineup, and you get him in that lineup quick, Jonathan.
Well, you have to play him because you drafted him. Unless
you don't have to play him.
If you're super deep, and you could play,
he's top
3
wide receiver week 1.
Yeah,
he's a wide receiver 1 week 1, and every week thereafter. But to your point, the Carolina Panthers, and I think better days are ahead for them. But last year, they gave up 52 touchdowns on the season. It's a staggering number. And while they added some pieces on defense, the Carolina Panthers, that I think long-term are going to be good. Like you said, in this offseason, there's no way they come out of the blocks good. They are going to miss assignments left, right, and center. Josh Jacobs is going to have an absolute field day on the road in week 1. I love Josh Jacobs. He is a DFS play all day for me. And then to your point, obviously you're going to start McCaffrey. So an interesting game. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring here. I could easily see the over, which is high. And you were talking about overs before. So
48, 47.5.
I'm not believing a lot in the defense. I don't think the Raiders got a good defense either. I think they got parts, but it's not like they're a good defense, but they did pretty well last year, all things considered. And now they get, can't think of his name, the young kid in the secondary back who got hurt early in the year. Abrams.
Love him.
Yeah.
Savage.
Yeah, he's a diehard football guy. So, I'm excited to watch that game on Sunday. Next up, your ex-team, the Chicago Bears, head to Detroit to face the Lions.
Ugh. So, also opened at a pick. Now Detroit is a 3-point home favorite with a total of 44.5, which is pretty middle of the pack. Trubisky named the starter. Actually, I think that's what moved the line to negative to -3. Actually,
makes total sense. He's going to be reckless with the ball. So,
boy, yeah, with Trubisky there, I am not trusting any of the Bears. I've been yapping about Tariq Cohen, so give me him as catching some balls out of the back, especially with Montgomery banged up. I'll tell you what, sneaky play. We said we we're going to talk too many sleepers. Cordarrelle Patterson is named a RB when the Bears released their initial depth chart. And when he was with the Patriots, I thought he looked amazing as a running back. The handful of times the Bears gave him the ball, he looked good. Dude, that guy might be the sneakiest RB1 this week if you're looking for really digging deep here. But I like him. As far as Detroit, big mystery at running back. I think Swift and Johnson are both banged up more than they let on. That's why they ended up signing old man Adrian Peterson. I do like Stafford. I do like Kenny Galladay. If you're, deep enough league, Marvin Jones is in play. Kind of the names here. There's no sneaky players in this game so much.
Yeah, well set up. The Detroit Lions, most passing yards allowed last year, and they just let Darius Slay walk. I know they've got Akuda in there, but sorry, he's not just coming and shutting down the field for these Detroit Lions straight out the gate. So yards are going to be available to those receivers. Now, if Trubisky can hit them or not, that's a totally different conversation. But
no,
I think Allen Robinson
the answer's no.
is poised to come out hot in that Ford Field turf. But to your point, the Chicago Bears defense pretty solid. I think they'll be screaming by the second quarter to get Foles in the game. Slips away. So this could be interesting for a ton of different reasons. But you mentioned Swift and Carry-On being hurt more than they let on, and I agree. The fact that they went after AP right away when I thought he might have lingered out there until after week 1, so a team wouldn't have to guarantee his contract. But he has a history with Bevel. He knows his scheme. He's going to be able to pick it up. I would not be surprised at all if he gets 15 carries in this game as they try and lean on him right out of the gate and get these young guys as healthy as they can. Next game, division heavy, obviously, right out of the gate. And I like it. Don't let teams get a chance to warm up. Crucial games right out of the gate. Understatement. The Indianapolis Colts head down to Duval. Our buddies at the open bar are just taking punches every chance that ownership gets to give it to them with those Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I don't have much here. Indy's a 8-point favorite on the road. Total's 45, middle of the pack.
Not enough.
The total or the -8?
The -8.
Yeah, I'm with you. What Jacksonville had going for them was Leonard Fournette. Now he's not there 100% Armstead is on the coronavirus injury list, so good luck rolling the dice with the Divine Ozigbo and James Robinson at back. Going to be who knows what they're going to do. Shrug, hold your nose. I do like Minshew. Not this week, though. And the Colts, I like everything they did in the offseason. I like what they did last year. This is a team that's trending in the right direction. And same thing, not a ton of moving parts. I mean, they do have Rivers there now, but he played with Reich before, so he's familiar with the system. It's not as big of a shakeup you see typically when a new quarterback comes in. Yeah, I think they come in and beat the dog shit out of Jacksonville, so I'm with you.
Yeah, the dog shit. That's what the Jaguars are, unfortunately, and hopefully better days are ahead. But these Jaguars last year gave up over 2,200 rushing yards and 23 touchdowns on the ground. That is what the Colts want to do and are going to do in this game. And that's why I don't think Rivers is going to have a big game because he's not going to have to. But Marlon Mack might get the nominal start, but we could see Jonathan Taylor coming out party week 1 down in Jacksonville, because to say that this defense has gotten worse from last year would probably be an understatement. And they sucked last year. Like I said, they were one of the worst teams in the NFL last year as far as they were 9th in passing yards allowed, and they were 5th in rushing yards allowed. So they were in the bottom 10 in both categories and got worse.
Got rid of their best defender. And Calais Campbell. We don't need you guys. And they got rid of Harrison. They got rid of the fucking safety.
Yeah, just gave him away for a bag of beans. I'd like to know what the story is with that, because he's worth way more than the 5th rounder. But listen, they're trying really hard to tank. They really want Trevor Lawrence. Good for them. There's nothing. Hopefully, DJ Chark gets the Allen Robinson treatment during the Blake Bortles YOLO season and just gets peppered, because he could be a monster, as they're just going to be constantly more than a touchdown dog every single week. They'll be in the double digits before you know it, and we'll just be chasing that garbage time with Minshew and Chark, and hopefully a little bit of Chenault. I am interested to see how they deploy Chenault right out of the gate. But Indy should win easily, and Mack and Jonathan Taylor should have a field day. Going back up north, the Green Bay Packers in Aaron Rodgers' probable last season with the team is going to be my bold statement early on here.
Not those clips of love keep leaking out.
Oh, it's beautiful. He comes within 15 feet of a stationary target when it's on the run. Head to Minnesota to face the Vikings, who have Yannick Ngakoue. So smooth transition from the previous segment. That defense, they're trying to rush the passer because their secondary is abysmal as well. I mean, they did let Xavier Rhodes go, so I think anything better than Xavier Rhodes, #Rhodes open, but still not a good secondary, all things being considered. How do you feel about this game?
So Green Bay is a 3-point dog. Minnesota's the favorite at home, so the obligatory 3 points for being the home team, so it's practically even. Totals at 46. Nothing here screams off the page at me. I mean, you could play Adams because he's got no one else to throw to in Green Bay. I'm scared of our boy Aaron Jones because I don't know how they plan on using Dylan to kick off the year. I know you were a Sternberger guy. Somehow Robert Tonyan is the starter in name, so Green Bay kind of scares me in this one for fantasy. Like I said, Adams should get peppered with targets, so he's in play. For Minnesota, kind of the same thing. Jordan Jefferson, the rookie, not Jordan. Justin, Jesus. Justin Jefferson was a little banged up in camp, didn't see too much of him. So Thielen might be the play here. Who knows, is it going to be BC Johnson where he's going to see some targets, or Tajay Sharp? I don't think so. I like the 2 wide receiver ones, and that's about it in this game. Everything else is a bit of a question mark. I did unintentionally skip over Dalvin Cook, though, who should see a ton of work. It seems to be kind of what Minnesota wants to do this year. So Cook, Thielen, and Adams are the main guys for me. But if you already play fantasy, you are going to be playing the 3 of them anyway. I don't think there's anything to dig deep in here.
No, I agree with you. Green Bay middle of the pack as a rush defense is concerned. Sneakily enough, and we were talking about the front of the Vikings defense. Vikings only gave up 8 rushing touchdowns last year, tied for second in the entire NFL for least rushing touchdowns allowed. So to think that Aaron Jones is going to have one of those Aaron Jones 3 touchdown games is probably going to be difficult if he's not catching them. But he could be their second most targeted pass catcher in this game.
Yeah.
If they deploy him that way. It's another one that's going to be interesting to see. I think this game's going to be a little uglier than people want to believe. A lot of running in this game would be my assumption.
Under 46.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Next and last 1 o'clock game. I know you like the 1 o'clock slant, John. Well, it's primarily 1 o'clock games straight out of the gate for you. So you're welcome, said Roger Goodell. And it's those Miami Dolphins heading up to New England to face the new look Cam Newton-led Patriots.
If New England had played anybody else, you would go against them. But Miami has shown nothing over the last, 8 years to make you think they'll be competitive in this one. I know they're a popular underdog pick this week. 6.5 point favorite for New England. Total's only 43, so they're not anticipating tons of scoring, especially from Miami. Truthfully, this could be – most of the New England holdouts are on the defensive side of the ball. So this is their most tumultuous offseason we've seen in years. So this is a good spot if you think Miami can be game here, and there's no reason they can't. They seem to show up quite a bit last year. So I do like Miami a little bit for fantasy purposes. Fitzpatrick scares the shit out of me because he's just as likely to throw 5 interceptions as 5 touchdowns. So no thank you there. Running back, if they are trailing, I do like Breda and PPR. Jordan Howard, I don't see the volume for him. Wide receivers, nobody really jumps off the page. I'm not sure if Preston Williams is going to get a full workload, although he looked good in practice. Then for New England, Cam is always in play for fantasy, but we haven't seen him in a long time. So do I trust him week 1? Not particularly. Edelman will probably get a ton of work, so will James White. But other than that, nobody. With the low total at 43, this is a game I'm staying away from if I can.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, interesting stat. The Patriots gave up 20 total touchdowns last year. The Miami Dolphins gave up 39 passing touchdowns. So almost 2-1 from total to passing touchdowns allowed. But that Miami defense got better as the year went on. They beat the Patriots in Week 17 to kick them out of the bye and ruin everything for New England. So maybe this will be an early revenge game. But to your point, there's a lot of turnover on that Patriots defense. Pretty much the entire linebacker core opted out, and Chung. So while they still have Gilmore there and they still have talent, Harmon and the like, they'll get a decent enough pass rush with Ninkovich not Ninkovich. What the hell's his name? Chase Winovich.
Close enough.
I love
Same
Ninkovich.
thing. Me too.
So I agree with you, and it's up in New England. So the touchdown favorite, that's a little heavy-handed, like you said, with Cam right out of the gate. But I got to think if anyone is prepared in this unique offseason to play football without a preseason, it's Bill Belichick. So it might be ugly, and there might be a fullback rushing touchdown here. There might be a touchdown catch by Dalton Keene.
That's what I was just going to say.
Gunnar Olszewski. It's not going to be the way you want it, but it's going to happen. So I'm with you. And then with Miami, I do like watching Fitzpatrick, but I don't think he'll be long, especially since they gave Rosen the boot. So Tua is going to be the backup. He's going to be starting sooner rather than later for this team, especially if they come out of the gate a little cold, and I do think they're going 0-1. So, and I'm not trusting a running back in this game. I don't know if you are. Patriots aren't going to let Jordan Howard get fed 20 times and do anything. Maybe Brady can break one loose. New England, it looks like it's going to be Sony Michel, but I'm not going to trust him in his foot. Even without Damian Harris there and them letting Lamar Miller go, it's like you said, it's going to be James White, if anyone, is the only running back I'm trusting in this game.
I agree. What's next?
Let's jump to these 3-4 o'clock games, John. Once you wake up and get to watch 4 games after I've had a full docket in my Sunday afternoon. Those Los Angeles Chargers used to be my favorite non-Eagles team, but they just keep disappointing me. Travel.
Boy, do they.
To maybe now my new favorite team.
Oh,
Cincinnati Bengals for a 4 o'clock game in Ohio. They're doing the Chargers a little bit of a favor right out of the gate, pushing this to a 4 o'clock game. because that's an East Coast game if ever I saw one. But there's a lot of East Coast games right out of the gate, honestly. There's not another game that I saw that they could have moved. So they, if not for that Carolina game, because the Vegas Raiders are traveling just as far. But how do you feel about the game?
If the Chargers didn't have cool uniforms, they'd have even less fans than they do. They are a 3-point favorite somehow at Cincinnati with a total of 43. So roughly looking at a 23-20 Chargers victory. I hate the Bengals, but I don't see how they're not a fucking home favorite. The Chargers, once again, another offseason decimated by injury. Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. Keenan Allen is the only play here because he's all they've got at wide receiver and should be peppered heavily. I don't know how much work Eckler's going to get in this game. I just don't know with Tyrod Taylor. So much of that passing game work was just a result of Rivers checking down all the time. Is Tyrod going to do that? I don't know, so he scares me off a little bit this week one. And Hunter Henry, Tyrod has a history. He made fucking Charles Clay a tight end one year, so no reason Hunter Henry can't be in play. Cincinnati, boy, I hate their coach, hate their OC. Big question marks for me. Burrow getting the start in his first NFL game with no preseason does give you some pause, and there is concern there. But obviously you like your guy Joe Mixon in the backfield there, and I can't blame you with this matchup. Wide receiver-wise, A.J. Green's a mystery at this point in his career. I like Tyler Boyd just getting the volume. And Auden Tate got a lot of rave reviews, so he might be a decent play in DFS if you're really digging deep for a sleeper guy who could catch a touchdown or two with his 3 targets in the game. So, boy, this is...
Every catch is a contested catch with Auden Tate. Because we talked about a guy that can't separate. I think he actually tries to run into cornerbacks as the ball's getting thrown, so it just makes it look more highlighty. And it's all said and done because he makes even the most routine catch look superb because nothing's easy with Auden Tate. We're going to call him Money Mixon at this point in time. That's what we're going with. How many got paid? He is cash money. I'm here. Finally, Joe Mixon is going to be utilized appropriately because they're going to target him, and Barrow's going to throw him passes. So Mixon's going to see the most catches he's ever seen in his career. I can see RB1 in Mixon's range of outcomes overall, and it's going to start against these Chargers right out of the gate when they give him the touches that he needs. The Cincinnati Bengals were a sieve last year in the rushing game. Almost 2,400 yards allowed rushing. They've shorted up a little bit, but not the end-all, be-all. So I agree with you. Austin Eckler gives me pause. You're obviously starting him. Everyone's starting him. Everyone should start him. But I'm with you. The non-Phillip Rivers aspect, I feel like I'm the only one that keeps saying it. Like, someone might say it, and then it moves on, and then they go to something else. But I'm here. Until I see otherwise, I am scared of Austin Eckler and what he's going to be this year because he's not seeing any more carries than he saw last year. He has gotten worse with volume year over year. It's proven that he is not a plus ball carrier. He is one of the best receiving backs in the NFL. But Tyrod Taylor is not Phillip Rivers in the passing game, and he is not going to maximize Austin Eckler. I'm going to say Josh Kelly is the play right out of the gate against the Bengals and that defense, and I can almost guarantee a Josh Kelly touchdown week 1.
Oof, that's bold.
And for everyone else, start him. Scared. Keenan Allen just got paid out the nose, and Anthony Lynn was on Hard Knocks talking about how he yells at the OCs to throw the ball to Keenan Allen. Well, even with Tyrod, that's not going to change. Keenan Allen's going to get his targets. Mike Williams isn't going to play in this game, so maybe we get a little bit of Joe Reed right out of the gate. But it's going to be Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, Austin Eckler. That's the only people that are going to see passes in this offense. Now for the Bengals, who knows? Ross just came back. A.J. Green's in and out. It's going to be Tyler Boyd with Barrow right out of the gate. I am slightly concerned with Ingram and Bosa pinning ears back against Bosa in week 1 of his NFL career, like you said, with no preseason. But when it's all said and done, I think Barrow is calm, cool, and composed. And he is going to, I didn't say impress. He had one of the best college seasons anyone's ever seen. So how are you just going to shock the world? But I could see 302 from him. Might throw two picks as well, but right out of the gate in this game. So I'm not scared of Barrow. Moving down to what I think should probably be the Sunday Night Football game, and I don't understand how it's not. The Tampa Bay Tom Brady's are heading to New Orleans to play the Saints.
Yeah. I mean,
this is the game of the week. It's a game of the week, right? I mean,
this is the one everyone's excited to see, but I mean, it's based entirely on Brady. I like the Saints. I think Tampa's going to fall flat on their face. I am a strong anti-Arians guy. New Orleans is 3.5 favorite at home. Total is 49, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the second highest of the week.
That's
there should be some points to be had. We've talked about it at length. No thank you to Mike Williams this week. Give me Chris Godwin, though. I think he's going to pepper the shit out of Gronk, especially with no offseason. He's the only guy he's comfortable with for New Orleans. I mean, it's just Michael Thomas. You know what I mean? There's no one else in the passing game, especially for week one. So Thomas, Breeze. I don't even like playing Brady in this one. I do like Godwin and Gronk. Do I like Jared Cook? Not really. And then
you hate Jared Cook. So
this week I hate him. Yes, correct, absolutely. Running back, is Kamara fully healthy? Kind of some question marks there, so I don't feel comfortable playing him for DFS. If you're season long, what are you going to do? Bench him week one and let him? You're not going to get burned by that this week with this offseason. So you cross your fingers and hope he is healthy and plays. And Tampa running backs, good luck picking anybody there. It's going to be what's the musical chairs until we see someone actually step up. So no thank you to anybody there this week for me.
Interesting game because quick question. Do you know which NFL team gave up the least rushing yards in the NFL last year?
Well, you're asking me, so it's one of these two. So 50-50, I'll say New Orleans.
You would be wrong.
Son of a bitch, Tampa
Bay Buccaneers didn't even go up 1,200 rushing yards on the year last year. Well, it's good. They got thrown all over. They gave up 5,500. How many passing yards they gave up? They gave up 4,200 passing yards. But that still wasn't even the worst as far as passing yards allowed. And the two teams that gave up more than them still gave up a ton more rushing in the Lions and the Cardinals. So seems as though they have figured out the rush defense. Now they can just do a little bit to contain the pass and this, I'm going to say one-dimensional nature of the Saints offense because they can't throw it to Cook. They do have Manny Sanders there, who you love. Surprised you didn't mention him more, but should hit Kamara out of the backfield. And just as a quick aside, you took a shot at Mike Williams unnecessarily at the beginning as you meant Mike Evans, but as you hate Mike Williams so much, and we just talked about the Chargers, you unintentionally said Mike Williams. So let's just correct that to Mike Evans. But I'm with you. Lattimore is going to be on Evans like he always is. And so just erase him from your consciousness. I can't wait to see Chris Godwin get 12 targets week one from Tom Brady and put up like a 10 for 130 and a touchdown week one performance. And then I can just jump right back on my soapbox from last year. Tom Brady is going to love him some Chris Godwin, and Gronk is going to 100% catch an obligatory touchdown in this game and Gronk spike it. There's no two ways around it. It's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I did intentionally pass over Manny Sanders just because I'm sticking with my new faces in new places, not in week one this year. So give me him week two, possibly, depending on how he plays Sunday.
I mean, a veteran with a veteran. I mean, if Sanders and Breeze can't figure this out early, connect on a deep ball, I would be surprised. But I'm with you. I mean, Sanders isn't a must start anywhere. He's best to flex play. Now, going further west. This is Arizona, Cliff Kingsbury, Awesome House Cardinals head to San Francisco to play the defending Super Bowl losing 49ers.
Niners are a touchdown favorite at home. Totals 47, 48, depends where it is. So roughly 27-20 is the predicted final. I think the Niners beat the shit out of them. I'm still not sold on Cliff in Arizona. I get what they're trying to do until I see it on a consistent basis. No, thank you. We know what the Niners are, and they are pretty good. So I like the Niners. Do I like anybody here for fantasy? I actually like your boy, Jerick McKinnon. Finally, they're going to get some use out of him for all that money they've given him to do.
Little ROI. Little ROI
yes.
there, John.
Yeah. Arizona, they should feed Drake. We saw him do it to close last year. They're going to do it to open the year, I suspect. At wide receiver, there's a lot of mouths to feed, and until I kind of see how those targets are spread out, I'm a little scared to use anybody except Hopkins, and even Hopkins gives me pause. It's not the usual plug and play like we saw for years in Houston where they were force feeding him the ball. As far as the Niners wide receivers go, injuries, banged up, little question marks all around. So there's nobody I feel confident playing this week. PPR, if you're super desperate, want to dig to the bottom of the barrel, Trent Taylor might actually get some volume, which is disgusting to say.
It's going to be interesting. The 49ers, who allowed the second fewest yards in the entire NFL last year at just over 4,500 yards, largely on the strength of their pass defense, because from a rushing standpoint, they were middle of the pack. They were 16th, giving up 1,802 yards and 11 touchdowns. So just average rush defense. They're just a very good pass defense. But you know that those Cardinals, they want to throw that ball at the end of the day. I know he's doing a screen bounce with Drake and all, but be interesting to see how they come out of the gate. I can see in my mind's eye DeAndre Hopkins shaking Richard Sherman for a beautiful fade touchdown. I see it. They want to use them. They're gonna. They have a play in mind already. Just double moving Richard Sherman and getting Nuke right off the bus, a touchdown for that team. But I'm with you. It's going to be probably a grinding division game like those always are in the NFC West. So want to be looking after a ton of people. I do hope you are right with McKinnon. I have just been holding on. I've been breaking fingernails off. I've been holding on so tight for these last 2 years, but I just can't let go. And just give me 1 year of what Jerick McKinnon should be and what I envisioned him in the Shanahan offense being. And he's not going to be the bell cow. I don't know if he gets a carry in the game, but he can get 6 or 8 catches. And he just, from what I hear, no one can defend him. I've seen some clips. He just looks fresh and healthy and smooth. And he's just going to burn some of these Cardinals linebackers and safeties for big gains. And they're going to need it because, to your point, who else are they going to throw to? I don't know that Ayuk's playing. Deebo Samuel definitely isn't playing. It's going to be Kittle, some Kendrick Bourne, and these running backs. That's about the gist of it. So they're going to need him to catch some passes in week 1.
Yeah.
All right, so now to Sunday Night Football, and Andrew Burke's Dallas Cowboys head to Los Angeles to open up that massive Inglewood eyesore for the Los Angeles Rams.
Is it done?
Yeah, they didn't see Hard Knocks. They were in there.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I thought it was still another year away.
What they've done to stadiums is insane. I mean, it has nothing to do with the stadium anymore. It has to do with everything but.
Interesting.
It's everything. It's all the outside. It's all the bars. It's all the pomp and circumstance. I'm sorry. I'm old school. I want a football stadium. I want to be there. I want to know football is the focus. I want everyone paying attention to football. When I leave, I want to be outside. And I want to still be inside after I leave the stadium. So,
trying to suck every penny out of your pocket.
Yeah, over here just screaming at clouds on my lawn. But what about the game?
So Dallas is a 3-point favorite at the Rams, total of 52, which I believe is the highest scoring game of the week, which I don't necessarily understand why. Like, neither of these offenses screams to me, biggest point total of the week, but I guess they have CeeDee Lamb in Dallas now. Why not? Yeah, I guess
I'm just going to whisper to you, John. It's the defenses.
I guess
those defenses suck.
Yeah, it's just two teams I don't really like, so it's hard to get excited about this even for fantasy. I mean, you're going to play Zeke, you're going to play Dak, you're going to play Cooper. We're a pro Gallup podcast, so if you have him, I'm always in for playing him, especially with this total. Want to throw a dart at CeeDee Lamb? Go for it. This is probably a good spot for it as far as the Rams go. Given the total, Goff should be in play. Is Akers officially getting the start, or is the start going to be Malcolm Brown?
Listen, Malcolm Brown will get the first carry.
Right?
Yeah, he'll get the first carry, and then Akers is literally going to run away with the job on Sunday Night Football.
I'm a little too scared to play him week 1. I just don't know how they're going to use him with the whole the whole rookie thing. But Cooper Kupp's going to get peppered. Woods. This is a very chalky game for fantasy. You know who you like here, and that's who you're going to play. Even my man Van Jefferson isn't going to make a big splash just yet. So this should be very, very narrow target trees for both teams. We know who's in play and who isn't. There's nothing. I don't see anything unusual happening here.
Yeah, this is a fire up everyone week. I would say, and as much as I don't like him, and I think he's an aberration, I think Higbee gets off the bus and puts in work against his Dallas defense and kind of beats him up from the tight end spot. And Woods is going to do the same. I wonder if Jalen Ramsey is going to shadow Amari Cooper straight out of the gate, because if so, then Gallup is free roaming, and we could see a little CeeDee Lamb, week one as well. So
I'm here for the Amari Cooper goose egg in week one. Oh,
you might see it, and then the rumble is going to start up. How soon can we get out from under this fucking contract? I can't wait for Burke to talk about it. Hey, it's 2 years, buddy. You thought it was a smart deal, and then you drafted CeeDee Lamb, and it's all going to backfire. You said it was the highest total, and I know we skipped to Thursday. Thursday's got the highest total that I saw, but it's the highest non-Thursday night football total on the slate, and I think Sunday night football, there is going to be scoring to be had. That's going to be a big fantasy shift for a lot of people on Sunday night football. All right, 2 more games, Monday night double header. I always like these. I think they should just do them constantly. Why put 2 games on Monday? Why not? Stop forcing all these 1 o'clock games on Sunday. Move one of them to Monday night. Make everyone happier. But the Pittsburgh Steelers travel to the New York Giants, who undeservingly get a Monday night football game straight out of the gate. And it's purely because of Saquon Barkley. So tell me how you feel about the game.
The point spread's actually pretty wonky. You usually don't see this big of a spread, but the FanDuel books have Pittsburgh -3.5. And if you shop around Westgate and Vegas and the station casinos, you get them at 6. So almost a 3-point spread on a single game, which is very unusual. They are looking at a total of 48, so that's a little bit higher than we usually see. But, Pittsburgh's got Big Ben back. They've been raving that his elbow's fine. He's looked good. The Giants' secondary is trash. So I kind of like their whole passing game. Running game, I'm not quite sure what their plan is. They were talking about Benny Snell a bunch. They drafted McFarland. We, of course, have our guy that they didn't cut that was rumored to get cut was Jalen Samuels, and we don't like Connor. So kind of a mixed bag at running back, but I do like everybody in their passing game against a bad Giants secondary. For the Giants, obviously going to play Barkley. I don't feel confident playing Jones, and I don't know how they're going to use those 3 receivers now that everyone's healthy on the field at the same time. So I'll kind of stay away, but I do like Evan Ingram. So give me the Pittsburgh passing game. Give me Evan Ingram and Barkley, and the rest of it I'm too scared until week 2.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not trusting Big Ben right out of the gate. I think they're going to try to feed Connor, and if he holds up, it's going to be and unfortunately large James Conner week 1 in the face of the fantasy 40, because they're going to ease him in. They're not just going to let him drop back 40 or 50 times. He hasn't been even hit in a year, and they don't want to test that elbow. So I could see less than 30 passes for Big Ben, and that still wins them the game against the Giants. The CBS has it as a +6 for the Giants as well, so it's interesting the swing that you found in the books out in Vegas. So I think Pittsburgh comfortably wins this game by a touchdown. They are the far superior team. They might have one of the best defenses in the NFL this year, and I'm not just going to pin my hopes to Daniel Jones. It is nice that he has all those receivers, he has all his talent, fully healthy. It's going to be probably the first time all year in his career, because I don't know that he had it all at one time last year. But Barkley, Ingram are the only 2 Giants that you're going to touch. I would start Connor. I'm going to start Juju, because I think if Ben throws to anyone, that's who he trusts. He doesn't have any type of connection with Deontay Johnson and doesn't have a big connection with James Washington. Might be a sneaky Ebron touchdown game. Ebron 100 is going to ride again, touchdown right out of the gate, and you're going to have to put up with me just talking about Ebron every week.
It's disgusting. Although you mentioned the Daniel Jones having his full core of receivers healthy. This will be the only game all year. That is my prediction. This is the only game he starts with all 3 of the receivers, the tight end and Barkley, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, some of the most injury-prone, between Ingram and Sterling Shepard, at least. I mean, Golden Tate was suspension-based, and he's been relatively healthy, and we don't have a history on Darius Slayton. But you're probably right. But he has decent, sneaky receiver core. Doesn't really have that upsidey guy outside of Barkley to throw it to, but pretty diverse pass catching group. And once you get past like the early slate with these Giants, their schedule lightens up. So Daniel Jones might be one of these second half quarterbacks that you go and get after he lays a couple eggs right out of the gate. Last but not least, and
it's always a good strategy.
I could give a shit about this game. I'm going to be totally honest with you. So maybe there should just be one Monday night game. Totally change my opinion. The Tennessee Jadeveon Clownies. Yeah, right? Wah, wah, wah. The Tennessee Jadeveon Clownies head to Mile High to face the Denver Broncos.
Denver's a
Tannehill versus Drew Lock.
Yeah, just like we drew up, just like the NFL had hoped. Yeah, why the fuck isn't that switch with Tampa and New Orleans? Trash. Because it's $1 billion corporation. That shouldn't be. Anyway, Denver, pick them at home. Total is 40.5. We talked about it a ton last year. No reason it's going to change. Tennessee plays awful, disgusting games. Their offensive system is, slow and bogged down. They're going to use the shit out of Derrick Henry. I don't trust Tannehill. Denver's also a defensive team. Their offense is a bit wonky despite all the weapons they added. Key point being weapons they added. It's a lot of new moving pieces. Locke doesn't have a ton of experience. Judy's obviously a rookie. I do like Sutton. But yeah, this is a big no thank you game. Anybody I could get away with not playing, this is the game I'm trying to fade entirely.
Tennessee gets the nod as like a good defense, but all things being considered, the Broncos were a better defense last year. They gave up less points and they gave up less yards. So just in counting stats, the Broncos were a better defense than the Tennessee Titans were last year. They just weren't as efficient of an offense. The only thing I'm interested to see is what Tennessee does when they can't run the ball 87% of the time in a game and is forced to throw the ball. So hopefully the Broncos bow up and contain Derrick Henry, because I really want to see Jonnu Smith. That's the only person I want to see in this entire game in Monday Night Football to close it out, is to see what Jonnu Smith can do when he steps off the bus as the tight end one for these Tennessee Titans. Outside of that, with Denver, I like Locke. I like his arrogance and his swagger, but I'm going to reserve judgment on, can Locke feed all these targets? Sutton, Judy, Hamler. Can he get these running backs involved out of backfield? Noah Fan. Is Alberto going to be a thing? Probably not rookie year, but maybe eventually. They just brought speed and youth to this offense, and Drew Lock has to feed it all. And I just don't know that that's possible.
I mean, we saw it last year with Mayfield, who obviously has a significantly higher pedigree than Locke. Just because you surround the guy with weapons that doesn't mean he can be successful in real life or for fantasy. So I like the upside that's there, given what they put around him. But yeah, there's plenty of reasons to be concerned if he can do anything with it.
And I think that Phil Lindsay outscores Melvin Gordon in week 1. All formats. I know Melvin Gordon's going to get the PPR nod, but Phil Lindsay is a better running back. He's not a better pass catcher, but he's a better running back than Melvin Gordon is. And
clip that, pin it somewhere, and we can start each week with that until they're on their bye. I agree, week in and week out. But
Lindsay is a dog. While Kerryon Johnson is rolling out the red carpet for DeAndre Swift when they draft him, they asked Phil Lindsay about Melvin Gordon, and he pretty much said, he's not taking my job. It's I respect him, and we're going to play well together, but I'm coming to fight for my job week in and week out. I love Phil Lindsay. Underdog story, Colorado kid, and now more than ever, because anyone but Melvin, I am pulling for Phil Lindsay. All right, that is the slate. We said we're going to back end this Thursday night game because who knows if I'll get this edited out in time, but we are recording this on Labor Day at it looks at 4:51 p.m. Eastern time. So these are going to be our bold predictions for this Houston Texans at the Super Bowl champion and super rich Patrick Mahomes-led Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. What a game to kick off the 2020 NFL season. Let me sleep until about dinner time on Thursday. From this moment through 3 days, wake me up at dinner time. Let me get a nice meal in my belly, and I'm going to plop down, and I'm watching every second of this game, John.
So the total is 54.5, 55, some places that you mentioned. Biggest of the week. Kansas City is a 9 or 9.5 point favorite. It actually opened at 10, so it's trickled. Some of the money's come over on the Houston side and moved that line a bit. We mention this Kansas City all the time. It's just a narrow distribution tree. It's going to be Mahomes to Tyreek Hill to Kelsey, and looking like Clyde Edwards-Helaire as the receiver out of the backfield. So there's not, there's going to be no sneaky guy. Could Hardeman break a play? Absolutely. So he needs to be on your radar. But, the other sneaky play is Darrell Williams, because they've been saying they're going to split kind of the work in the backfield, at least early, till Edwards-Helaire gets his feet under him. So I'm not expecting too much out of Edwards-Helaire. For Houston, total all-new receiving core kind of. Will Fuller's still there, but that guy is injury-prone. But they brought in Cooks. They brought in Cobb. I don't trust any of them in week one until I kind of see how they're going to use them. David Johnson is probably going to get used more than we like, but I just don't know where the distribution is going to be for Houston. So they kind of scare me despite the total and as a dog where they should be throwing the ball quite a bit. I like Watson at quarterback. Fuller is kind of the big play guy. He's going to, either pop or get you 0. But other than that, Houston kind of scares the shit out of me this week.
And well, they should, because their defense is absolutely dreadful. And they gave up 33 passing touchdowns last year, which was tied for 4th worst in the entire NFL. And they have not gotten any better in that regard as far as I'm concerned. So, fire up every piece of this Chiefs offense, including Mecole Hardman, because I'm here. This is Mecole Hardman's season, so why not just do it on Thursday Night Football? Mecole Hardman touchdown, week 1. He might only have 2 or 3 catches, but he's going to have a touchdown in those 2 or 3 catches. The Texans, Deshaun Watson just got paid as well on a shorter-term deal. Good for him. As the market will reset in another 4 years, he's betting on himself that he'll then cash again rather than locking in right now like Mahomes did. But this is also infinite money we are talking about, so to each their own. If Mahomes wants a 10-year deal, so be it. He's filthy rich as well and buying into the Kansas City Royals. So there's different schools of thought here. But I am going to go slightly bold here, and I'm going to say that Deshaun Watson outscores Patrick Mahomes in fantasy points in week 1 because the points are going to be scored by the Chiefs, going to be moved around a little bit. Everything the Texans do is going to be via the air. I'm not trusting David Johnson, Duke Johnson. They're not going to be able to run the ball. I think they're going to be chasing points. Deshaun Watson can put up points with his legs and his arm. Then at the end of the day, by hook or by crook, I think like a 350-yard, 4-touchdown performance is going to come Deshaun Watson's way. So I'm sticking to it.
They could both go 354.
They could. It's going to be a light show right out of the gate. I don't know. I think this is Deshaun Watson's season, and it has nothing to do with the payday. I just think I
just don't know if he has the weapons. I know you've said this before, but I just don't. I don't know if he can do that with no tight end to speak of, injury-prone Fuller, injury-prone Cooks, and Randall Cobb. Like I don't think he has.
See, and this is early, and so once one of them gets hurt, all bets are off, and it's likely going to be Will Fuller at the end of the day. But he has a rapport with Fuller. Brandon Cooks is a professional receiver. He has come in offseason after offseason and produced with other quarterbacks, and name brand quarterbacks, some of the best. But Cooks seems like he gets it at the end of the day. So I'm not going to be worried about him being new to the offense. Randall Cobb is probably going to be their de facto tight end. He's going to run all that intermediate stuff for them, and he's just going to chew up yards. And he's going to find Daniel Phelps for 8 touchdowns over the course of the year, unless your boy Jordan Akins really has turned a corner this season and he can finally show up. But, you got Kenny Stills behind them. Kiki Kuti is still sitting there. They have depth. That they can keep wheeling out as these guys get carted off the field. So I just believe, and then 2 of the best pass catching running backs in the NFL, whether they actually implement them or not is still to be seen. Bill O'Brien isn't calling plays now, I believe I read. And if that's indeed the case, and they can start getting David Johnson and Duke Johnson involved as pass catchers, this could set up as the QB1 season for Deshaun Watson. So while they do not win this game, they are going to lose. I might want to take them with those points because that's still a little heavy-handed. So maybe a touchdown they lose by 6.7 points. I like the Texans, plus the 9, or I think you even said it was 10 at one point. That would have been nice to get. But what a game to start. So my bold prediction, as previously stated, was Deshaun Watson outscores Patrick Mahomes in week 1. What say you?
And it's just for Thursday? Bold prediction?
Yeah, just this game, because we're not going to dive into it. Because
of course, Mr. Negativity here. Houston loses both Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks for at least 6 weeks.
When you said Mr. Negativity, I'm not going to lie. I felt as though you were going to take a shot at Travis Kelce and your endorsement that he will be injured this season.
Oh, it's coming.
Does Clyde Edwards-Helaire have more or less than 15 touches in week 1?
I say more, but I think it's 15's a lot. I think he catches like 8 balls. That's a lot. 7 balls. I don't see him getting a ton of carries though.
Neither do I.
If he gets it, it's going to be through the year.
I can't believe you went to 7 or 8 catches, but I also
after I said it out loud, it sounds crazy. I'm trying to split that 15 down the middle, and that's gross.
Yeah, I don't think 20 is in his range of outcomes in week 1. They're just not. No. They're not going to burden him with that. But he's going to get the quality touches. He's going to get 5 or 6 catches, and if he gets 10 carries, they're going to be the high value type. So even if Darrell Williams steals like a goal line touchdown or even 2 in the game, Edwards-Helaire should get that around those 15 touches. And if he does, he should return low-end RB1 or high-end RB2 value week 1.
Yeah, I got to see him, week 1 to kind of get an idea how they want to use him. Obviously, I can bring him along slowly, but they just talked up Darrell Williams too much to scare the shit out of me for week 1. So there's enough to give me pause, but I think season long he'll be fine.
My favorite move this offseason was a league I'm in that I drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's a team I picked up, and I'm kind of rebuilding. I ended up with 3 first-round picks. I got Helaire and Jonathan Taylor. When they signed DeAndre Washington, someone made a big push to add him, and I just went and spent $1 on Darrell Williams. That same ad drop cycle, and I was like, I just think this guy's going to be the handcuff if Edwards-Helaire isn't up to snuff given this offseason, while someone went big cash on DeAndre Washington because he happened to play with Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech 6 years ago. But I digress.
How much? Do you remember how much?
Yeah, it was a good chunk. I think it was just $100 fab. It's probably like 30 or 40 of the fab. It's a deep league, so there's not a lot to speak of, but still not gonna shoot my load on DeAndre Washington, coming in a virtual offseason.
Jeez. It's a big chunk of change for somebody you don't even know they have a job.
Yeah, but he did get a decent amount of guaranteed money, so DeAndre Washington's doing fine. He might end up back with the Raiders when it's all said and done, since they're bringing in every pass-catching back known to man. They just hosted Dario Gumbawale after signing Devontae Booker. Yeah, they don't want him because they tried to make him a running back, and everyone on Twitter that said it's absolutely right. He's not a running back. I never thought he could be a running back just because he had the most rushing yards in the SEC. A lot of it he did as a quarterback in this wildcat shit. That's just not functional in today's NFL. He just wasn't a prototype running back. He best would have been a scat back. They did give up on him way too soon for the draft capital, but they got a 4th-round back for him. So going to Miami, and he's going to be used. They've already declared him a wide receiver. He can carve out a role as an NFL slot wide receiver. I think, the yards after the catch, broken tackle type shit, that's where he needs to be. So good for his dynasty value went up, shipping him out of town and down to Miami because not a deep wide receiver room there, and there's just a spot waiting for him as a slot receiver since Albert Wilson opted out.
Hopefully he does nothing in week 1. You could get him on the cheap.
There you go. All right, that was your Lynn Bowden bonus nugget at the end of this podcast. So, Jonathan, take us out of here so I can get back to drinking.
So, looking forward to week 1 here coming up. Hopefully you have a good fantasy week. Unless you're playing one of us in a league, then we wish you nothing but the absolute worst in life. For myself, John Dabari. For my co-host, Mr. Matt Walker. Andrew Burke, who is for once legitimately missing in the Pacific Northwest with Sasquatch. It's usually a joke, but it is confirmed. He's missing in action in the woods in the Pacific Northwest. We are the Fantasy 40, and we are out.
Good luck week 1.
Total's 49. I do like the over. I was just saying how I would go under. So these are 2 teams with not a lot of moving pieces. You know what I mean? The receivers, the quarterbacks, that coordinator, head coach. So
hold on.
You go over indoors with
John. You froze, buddy.
Son of a bitch. Am I still frozen?
You're lagging.
Am I still frozen?
I'm waiting for you to catch up.
Can
you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you just fine.
Okay, yeah, you froze and then you were lagging, and then so was your camera. So just start over from me saying, just go with the total and all that. So at Atlanta Falcons.
Get rid of my camera. Maybe this will help. Do the whole thing over? Was I anywhere?
No, just literally from when I said at the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
You just do your opening, the total, everything.
All right.